Good morning, everyone. This is our Listening with Your Eyes LinkedIn Live. I am Allison Henderson, your host. And let's just kind of jump right in today because I know everybody's busy trying to wrap up everything and get onto their holiday plans. And I am in the same boat. That's why we're starting 2 or 3 minutes late today. Just so many things going on, right? But this is fantastic. We are getting together again after last year when most of us didn't travel or see family and friends. And I've been seeing quite a bit posted about boundaries this year. And I wanted to put my take on that a little bit. Part of it was I was thinking back to a section that I had in somebody's article last year. And of course, could I find it? I swear I saved it somewhere. The article, can't remember the publication, can't remember anything, but I do have the raw material that I had sent to her. I just can't find what came out, which of course, craziness. Bad business owner not to somehow still have that. It's in my computer somewhere. And I wanted to also uplift some other folks that have been posting about boundaries because I think their information is super, super fantastic. So my shout outs for this morning, and I think this might be a trend that I take into 2022. Both people that I've had on the show before and perhaps people that I would love to have with me on the show, or just great content that needs to be shared and part of my gratitude and giving back to the people in my life and the people that have been on the show. So I wanted to talk about 3 different ladies today. Cindy Ashton is up first, cindyashton.com. She is fantastic. She and I are kind of like, I guess, soul sisters or consultant sisters in a way. She and I both came up the ranks through theater. In fact, we should probably swap stories sometime. We were probably at some of the same auditions in the 90s. But she does Speak from Your Power events, and you should definitely look her up. There's one coming up, I believe, in Los Angeles in a few months. She often hosts them in New York because in New York City because that's her base. But she did a fantastic live just last week called How to Set Boundaries Without Being Aggressive, Over-Explaining, or Losing Your Power. And so the link there, the YouTube to watch it is there. If you connect with her on LinkedIn, of course, you can find it that way as well. But it was really insightful from a little bit more of like the verbal piece or how to respond to texts and emails and that sort of thing, which I thought was really fantastic. The other person that we've had on the show, Kay Coughlin, was on. We did a possibility mindset last year, well, it's probably still this year, but earlier in the year. And she has started an actual community, about a boundaries community, which is wonderful support for people that need boundaries. She does much of her work with caregivers and the sandwich generation, people who are taking care of their own kids while taking care of their parents. She has a podcast, From One Caregiver to Another, that I would encourage you to check out. So much of her information isn't even always caregiver centric necessarily. It has ramifications and things for it. So I would definitely encourage you to check her out. And then Kristen Lamar, who I know I mentioned last week, but I wanted to point out that she has a new program that will be starting in December, and just to get us ready for 2022. And it's called Living from the Zen Zone. I really encourage you to check that out because her philosophy on getting yourself prepared is is different from most anybody that I've seen. It involves not only your business and getting that sort of thing ready, but there's also a very personal side to it as well. How are you personally preparing? What is your health plan? Even how are you getting yourself, body, spirit, mind, business, everything together? So definitely check out Kristen Lamar at KristenLamarInspires.com. All right, shout outs finished. Let's get into this idea of boundaries from the body language side of things. And you're probably going to say to a lot of these things, oh my gosh, that would be so easy. Or no, duh, my gosh, why aren't I doing that? Because I want these to be that easy, because I want you to be able to remember them next week or in a couple days from now. So the first thing that we can do when it comes to setting up boundaries for ourselves, or if we are in a conversation, we notice that it's turning towards a place that you don't want it to go. And and you also don't want it to escalate. So one of the things that you can easily physically do that starts to give off signals of I'm not open to this, because oftentimes we think that we need to be open. And there is a blog on my website, which is actually this one, Holiday Survival Body Language Style, which is using the acronym HUG, HUG, for 3 things to do to promote collaboration and to show that you are open. So this is going to be the opposite. This is how to show that you're closed. So we've been taught as a society in general to kind of stand at 45-degree angles when we're in a group, so that it encourages other people to join us, and when we're standing in small groups and things. Well, if you're at a large holiday gathering and you realize that things are going downhill, I would suggest closing off that 45-degree angle, and literally you make a wall with your body. So you flatten all of this. You may even need, you could do the power pose, putting your hands on your hips a little bit to kind of make yourself wider, keep your physical space around you a little bit wider by even gesturing out here. Because if you want to think about being a soccer goalie, right? The soccer goalie has to go side to side and take up as much room as possible in front of that net and create a wall in front of the net. That is literally what you're doing. So when you stand with your shoulders over your hips, over your toes in this straight line, and you add words like, I'm not comfortable talking about this, I would rather table this conversation for another time, or even, I don't feel this is appropriate right now. I don't feel that this is appropriate right now. I would rather we table the conversation for later. When you stiffen all of this. So the other thing is too, I know I'm always talking about keeping your upper body all flexible. Well, those are collaboration signals. So when you want to stop that collaboration, you need to kill that off. Okay. So actually add tension or stiffen the upper body so that you aren't giving those signals that you want this to continue, and literally create a wall. The other thing that you can do is, if you know that boundary breaker person is in the room, has joined the party, it's kind of a spatial thing that you can do. One, you can choose to sit like on a sofa where there's that they've left one opening. Well, fill that in, because that means that your boundary breaker can't come in and join you on the couch because the couch is full. If the couch is not full, don't sit there, because you don't want to invite that boundary breaker to come snuggle up with you on the couch and sit, and trap you there. Okay. But if it's already almost full, you could add to that, or even squeeze yourself in there almost as, squeeze yourself in. You can also choose a seat that is a chair without any other seats next to it, so that you are literally by yourself and nobody can sit next to you. Yes, the boundary breaker can still approach you on the chair and things, but if it's a single chair, you can also beeline out of it a little bit faster when you see them coming, those sorts of things. Uh, and so you can choose to sit by yourself, or you can choose to squeeze in with others. The other thing is to put physical things in between you and that boundary breaker, which means you can choose to be on one side of the coffee table and keep that person on the other side. Or use furniture to your advantage. If you're in the kitchen, you stand on one side of the island or the peninsula or whatever it is and force that person to be on the other side. It keeps them from encroaching on you. Boundary breakers like to take a little step closer and a little step closer and a little step closer. And you could physically put something between you so that they cannot breach that boundary. Finally, gestures. Besides just that wall and keeping your upper torso stiff, one of the best things to do, and I noticed that I did it when I was talking, I am not comfortable with this conversation, give them the no signal. Literally, create the boundary with your hands, right? This is a stop signal, literally. That's what the crosswalk people do. Stop. And then the other people get to come across the street, or the other traffic gets to go, right? So do that with yourself. Put up that hand, put up that boundary. This is not a conversation that I'd like to have right now. Let's table this till a time that we're alone, or when it's more appropriate. Period. That's all you have to say. The reason you need to look at Cindy Ashton's piece on boundaries is that we don't keep over explaining, and we don't keep coming back to it. And if they say, oh, but I've said what I need, I've told you, that's my boundary. Turn away, move on. And I know you're thinking, oh, but then Aunt Margaret's going to be all ticked off at me, and she's just going to say this and that and the other. Well, most of these people, if they are boundary breakers with you, they are probably boundary breakers with a lot of other people. And that may be that they break trust boundaries and share information that you thought you said in confidence. They could just be kind of the family gossip, and maybe there's stuff that you're not comfortable sharing. Most people will understand, particularly if that person says something and they're probably thinking, wow, I wish I had told her to keep her trap shut, or that I wasn't comfortable with that conversation. So you may have to get over some of your own personal etiquette, family stuff, and just go. And if you feel like you never want to have that conversation, then I think you should also say that as well. This is a topic or this is a situation that doesn't involve you, and I never plan on having this conversation with you. Now that's strong, obviously, but I am kind of turning the corner into self-preservation and things, right? We learned to live by ourselves. We learned to navigate all of these new things. And there are many people out there that are owning their power in new ways. And this is one way that we can do it. And if you are open to having the conversation, then you simply say, this isn't the place for this conversation right now. Let's set up a time for a phone call after we're both home or something. Or if you live close enough, let's just meet for coffee someday. There's so much going on, and there's so many other people. I don't want to take myself away. You could even do that if you feel like you don't want to be too mean about it. You can say, I don't want to take myself away from other conversations that I feel like this is going to turn into a long one. So put those boundaries up, sit in the appropriate chair, put some furniture between you, and you ought to be able to navigate those boundary breakers this holiday. So thanks, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. And just, feel free to let me know whether this was helpful for you. I certainly want these to be helpful for you. If you have other topics that you would like me to tackle between here, now, and the holidays, shoot me emails, Allison@movingimageconsulting.com. The True to You program is taking applications right now. That you can find on my website at movingimageconsulting.com. You need to go into programs, then click on the True to You, learn more, because that is going to be a small group starting in January, where we really take you on a great journey to improve your communication. That will be both body and voice, as far as some strategies for the language itself, or if you are a presenter and you have a talk that you're giving, we'll certainly look at your language as well. You're not mimes out there. I know that, and we're looking for that body voice connection. We're looking to make sure that your body language is matching your verbal content as well. So if that is intriguing at all, the True to You program, it has a limited number of individuals. So I would definitely fill out the application so we can have a chat and figure out whether that might be the program for you. All right. Well, we started a couple minutes late, so I ran a couple minutes over, but we will see you next Tuesday for Listening with Your Eyes, LinkedIn Live. Thanks so much, everybody. If you're out there, feel free to shout out and say hello, and or email me and let me know what new topics you might want to talk about, or what guests I should have on. I have some feelers out. It's just that time of year where it's hard to get them live with you. So it might be me for a couple weeks, but then we'll go back to guests again. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.